Thank you, everybody who's shown up. The reason for being here today is just another day at the beach, friends getting together to have a smoke in the great outdoors where it can't possibly hurt anyone. But I'd like to start with, we smoked before the band, we're going to smoke after the band.
All right.
I'd like to start with taking a moment to mention Memorial Day. This is Memorial Day weekend. While we're standing here for freedom, let's take a moment to remember all those who died while serving to preserve that way of life. What is unspeakable irony that were they here today, they wouldn't be allowed to smoke for their own good. I have a Sergeant Paul Boothroyd, who in April, was shot in the head in Afghanistan, and 15 minutes later had a cigarette, and that was the story. I asked him, can I please use your picture for this day, because it's really a poignant picture. Because if he were here, they'd be screaming at him to put out a cigarette. And his answer to me was, by all means use this photo. I'm all for smokers' right. I'll be happy when I can smoke in a bar again.
Amen.
Doc, Health Commissioner Farley, Mayor Bloomberg, members of the City Council, members of Public Health have lied to everybody. There is absolutely no valid scientific evidence that smoking outdoors is hurting anyone. The studies they hold up, one study they hold up, they give you the half-truth. That if you're 3 feet away from a smoker, you're as exposed to smoke as you are indoors. But they don't tell you that it's the concentration times duration, that you need 18 to 12 smokers for 15 to 20 minutes to reach that level. The author of that study said, if you are 6 feet away from a smoker or upwind, your exposure is 0. Members of legislation, people who can legislate law, have preferred to rescind our civil liberties rather than advise the public to walk away. What a tyranny we're living under now, that they can make these decisions based on a whim, mob rule, because 30% of the population smokes, but 70% does not. They can dictate to us what we can do. This is all that it is, and the City Council went rogue. We could not reason with them. They're not interested. They just wanted to impose their preference on the rest of us. Also, the 57% of New Yorkers are exposed. Dr. Farley, again, does not tell you that's from a 2004 study, and that exposure doesn't equal harm. If you tested all of us, we'd come up positive for arsenic because it's in our water. If you ask the CDC, they'll tell you it does not equal harm. And in order, but they hide behind that. Excuse me, let me take another. But this is their excuse. They're in search of an excuse to justify this discrimination, which they've also blatantly said is to keep people from smoking. It's about a smoker-free society, not a smoke-free society. Mayor Bloomberg has said he'll make it as expensive and difficult as possible to smoke in this city. They use the children. Children shouldn't see adults engaging in illegal activity so they don't think it's the right thing to do. They have to denormalize it. Well, in order to denormalize a otherwise legal activity, they've had to denormalize the meaning of civil liberties. Parents are the ones who need to teach the kids these lessons, if that's the lesson they want to teach. How soon until you can't go to Coney Island and buy a bag of cotton candy, which is nothing but a bag of sugar, because the children will get the wrong idea? This is not about smoking anymore, really. It's about civil liberties. And there is no justification for this law, and we have not been able to reason with them. We're left at the last resort. Historically, This is our Rosa Parks moment. Civil disobedience is the only way to affect change right now. Thank you for coming. There will be spontaneous. This is an organized civil disobedience moment. Enforcement is impossible. I speak as a retired police officer. NYPD is not held responsible for this, nor do they want to. The Parks Department police have been dragged into this. We're not out to taunt them. They're in a position they don't want to be in. Don't smoke near them. Leave them alone, and they don't want to be bothered anyway. But spontaneous civil disobedience will occur because nobody will either know this law exists or they'll ignore it on their own.
Pakistan, we can't smoke in this country. I know, that's why I'm over it. I'm stressed out too. Thank you. I see how you and I'll let it up.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Before I follow the rules.
Mayor Bloomberg says...
Cigarette?
I said, Mayor Bloomberg says New York is the freest city and the freest country in the world, and I'm taking him at his word. Here I am, enjoying a cigarette in a windy park where no one can be bothered. I'm taking Mayor Bloomberg at his word.
I'm sorry, would you tell me
I think New Yorkers are not sheep, but I think people like Bloomberg think that with their power and their money, they can control every aspect of our personal lives. Researchers for Columbia University School of Public Health just said in the New England Journal of Medicine there's no legitimate or ethical justification for banning smoking in all New York parks and beaches. And they're in public health advocates because they realize this is being used as a way of control that is beyond any need for public health. My name is Stephen Helfer. That's P-H-E-N-H-E-L-F-E-R. I was born on 91st Street in Central Park West. And boy, this country and this city have changed in many bad ways. I've been a smoker about 45 years.
Long time.
63 years old.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.